Welcome back to the Rant. This is part 3 in the 3-part series with Mo Pinel, radical core designer, the man who has invented 1,000 cores. I don't know if it's 1,000, but it just sounds good. Rolls right off the tongue. Mo, how are you doing?
I'm doing great today, and I'm enjoying this time with you, like we always do. And like I told you, I'll be down to see you in January.
I can't wait.
So, yeah, you're going to ask me some questions that might have something to do with one of the things we'll do while I'm down there.
100%, and I'm looking forward to you getting technical because I like to jump all into the things that are technical because that's what I do every day of my life as a software engineer. Um, all right, so let's get a little spicy.
Okay, let's get some spicy.
All right. So recently, a couple of the other YouTube channels decided to take you up on your hooking his ball comment. I don't think they understood the comment, but that's okay. And
We talked about it in the last segment.
that's right. I wanted to save it for this segment. And they put pin down drillings on the results solid. Why is that such a bad idea when you're trying to measure the total ability for a ball to hook?
Compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Layouts matter. And you can get the t-shirt from Mikey Dredd at bowling.science
Yep,
because he's got the Layouts Matter t-shirt
that's right.
to go along with the Mopey t-shirt, which has my Bluetooth. By the way, you notice it's not into this today. Okay. So you got to compare like objects. You want to look at the motion potential of a bowling ball. You have to make everything else equal. Same surface on the ball, same layout on the ball. And now we're comparing the ball as it's manufactured compared to the other ball. So we're doing one with a pin up drilling and one with a pin down drilling. And okay, what are you proving? That layouts matter? Yeah, we already know layouts matter. What I really enjoy is that if you look at your radical drill sheets, and we started this when I first went there, Phil Cardinale and Brian Graham and I sat down and we got to have standard layouts. So we have 4 symmetrical layouts and 5 asymmetrical layouts. Reason is you can compare ball to ball. Eventually, you're going to get what I call a benchmark layout.
Mm-hmm.
And you see me on Facebook when I'm doing they're asking me, here are my specs. What should I drill? What should I use for layout? You've got to have a standard of comparison. There is a benchmark layout for every player that bowls.
Absolutely.
Take into account your ball speed, your axis rotation, your axis tilt, your rev rate, everything you do, your grip, how you're feeling in the morning sometimes, or how you feel at night. And you take them all into account, and you want to have a standard of comparison, comparing 2 or 3 balls. And to do that, you got to have the same layout for you. So you have to have a benchmark layout. We went through that. But when you're comparing one ball with a pin in left field versus a pin that's in the gutter on the right side, okay, down under the middle finger as opposed to up above the ring finger, excuse me, there's no comparison.
And
but they like to get mouthy about it.
And
try and be polite.
And there's another piece to this, which is the surface, right? You can't have balls with different surface.
If they want to compare them out of the box and say, we're going to compare this ball out of the box, put the same layout on it, put the factory finish on it. If you want to compare the balls, technically speaking, and their motion potentials, you have to have the same layout on both balls and the same surface on both balls.
100%. Scientific method, right?
Yeah. What's rocket science about this?
Yeah. Yeah. Apples to apples. 100%.
I don't mind being shot at because I've been shot at a few times in my life. I've got some scar tissue on me because of it, but I duck.
Well, I think some people just want to make noise so they get the views, but it's just not the right way to do it, in my opinion.
Well, it is a free country. Remember that.
Hey, you know what? I support your right to say that, and I support their right to say it. Doesn't mean I have to like it.
If you start it, doesn't mean I might not finish it for you.
100%. I would agree with that. Now, let's talk about comparing apples to apples. So if we wanted to do one layout to test the best hooking potential for a bowling ball, what would be that ideal layout?
Well, it depends on the bowler's PAP and his axis tilt, because axis tilt is significant. If you get a bowler with very little tilt, the up the back of the ball bowler, 5 to 7 to 10 to 11 degrees of tilt. You want to use a small VAL angle, and you want to use a pin somewhere near 3.5 to 4.25 inches from the axis.
So you're talking about max flip.
Yeah, max flip type layout.
Yep.
Now, if you got a guy with a lot of tilt, meaning he gets around the ball pretty good, and he has more tilt, and he's in the 16 to 23 range, you want to get a ball that's going to read a little sooner, so you're going to go with our most versatile layout. Because Brandon Johnson, who has 16 or 17 degrees of tilt, and we know he's got rev rate.
Yeah, he's got hand.
He's got hand, okay? We use most versatile for him.
Okay.
Because that relates to the average bowler more. Now, if I had Percy Pussnuckler, and there's a lot of Percys in this world, trust me, okay? You can count their revolutions by watching the ball go down the lane. You got Percy Pussnuckler, you better have a very small VAL angle and a pin to PAP distance between 3.5 and 4, so that the ball retains the tilt longer, because he's not doing anything to help it rotate, and then it will jump off the spot. On the other hand, if you get somebody that's super rev dominant, then I'm going to go with what we have listed as our smoother layouts. So you got smoother for rev dominant players. It's a little more tilt, a little more revs. You got the most versatile, Percy Pussnuckler, which is the vast majority of bowlers in this world, because somebody once told him to stay behind the ball. And if you stay behind the ball long enough, it's never going to hook.
Loves to bounce.
You got to get around the side of the ball. But you get into them, now you're looking at 20-degree VAL angles and pin to PAP distances of 3.5 to 4 inches. That's why we put the layouts and the drilled numbers of that ball with those layouts in our drilling instructions.
100%. All right, so we've talked about all that. Let's switch gears here. So the last time in the first series that we did, what was it, 6 months ago or whatever, you talked about Bananas Foster being your favorite dessert. Have you had the chance to get any in the last 6 months?
No.
What? What is going on here?
I had some last December.
Okay.
But in case nobody knows, and we haven't put all the details together, because you will find me at South Point in the bowling center for most of Nationals this year, if everything goes off the way it's supposed to. I made my deal with Mike Munyak, and I will be doing lessons, layouts, ball fitting.
You're talking about
doing everything in case anybody wants a ball.
You're talking about Vegas, right?
With them or wants a ball to use at Nationals. I will be at the bowling center at South Point for 17 to 19 weeks this summer. And yes, I will get my Bananas Foster in that wonderful town of Las Vegas.
I got you now. I was wondering where you were going with that. So let's go right into that. So you've got plans to travel 2021. You're going to be in Vegas at South Point 17, 19 weeks. And you were saying that you're going to be offering lessons and all kinds of services.
We're going to be offering clinics and lessons. We haven't put the structure together yet because we want to make sure it's going to come off.
Okay.
But you can get a private lesson. You can bring a buddy if you want to drop your charge a little bit and split it over 2 people.
Yep.
And if you want to split it over 3, I can do 3 people in an hour. You can bring 2 buddies.
Okay.
So this way you can get value along with the service you're looking for.
Okay.
And you'll get it looked at by another set of eyes. And I hear I'm not too bad at that.
Yeah, I hear you're pretty good with the numbers, and you've drawn 1,000 different lines on balls. Like, you can do it pretty quick.
I would think I went by that number a long time ago.
Right. There we go.
But also, when you're doing lessons before a big event, there is a type of lesson you can do which says, when you go home, this is what you work on.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are what shows up in all the sports programs as the keys to victory. What is my dominant thought pattern? What do I have to focus on in my routine procedure in shot making? What do I have to do? The little things that allow you to mentally focus and trigger you so that you can repeat at your highest level of execution. So we can handle all kinds of stuff like that. We will have the latest radical balls that are available in all the weights that you'll need available. We can get them punched up in the shop that day. No problem. So it's a service we're putting on. Mike Munyak and I go way back. Mike Munyak is the bowling manager at South Point.
Okay.
He works for Dr. Gone. You know, I hope you know Mike. I drilled him a ball once back in Huntsville, Alabama for the Masters. And he threw 300 the last game, and he needed the second one in the 10th to beat Billy Rowe from Canada to make the next round. So it was a 3D offset, an indigo blue 3D offset.
Okay.
And he threw the 10th, 11th, and 12th one, beat Billy Rowe, who's a very good friend of mine and one of the great bowlers internationally. He's from Canada, and he went on to the next round. And somehow that's a little bit of a binding thing when you do it once in a while.
Absolutely.
So Munyak and I have done that together, and he's a great man, by the way. And he'll probably retire after the 3 years of nationals. 3 out of the next 4 years nationals are going to be at South Point.
So speaking of the travel, you've been traveling a lot, and I saw that you made your way up to Michigan to Bowler Smart IQ. What was your experience there like out there working with Mike Calhoun?
Well, Mike Calhoun, first of all, is very knowledgeable at what he does. He's a gentleman. The shop, I've seen that facility owned by about 5 or 6 different people, and it's very organized and very well done right now. And Mike has a great sense of organization and skills. First of all, he's a great player. He had back-to-back 800s last weekend.
Oh my, yeah, he's a boss.
Yeah, he is. And he knows what he's doing. And as far as technical and drilling skills and everything, I looked at his hand, and you know how I do it. We all get together. I get together with player, and I look at the hand. I say, well, you know, I can look at this. I can look at that. Compared to the grip he showed me, I may have changed one of the finger pitches a 16th of an inch. Other than that, I have never seen anybody nail it as accurately as Mike had nailed it. I consider that term, I respect him for that. That means he knows what he's doing and he sees what he sees. And if you're in the Detroit area and you're going to go to Bowling IQ, which is in Sterling Heights, see Mike Calhoun. He can do a grip analysis. He can do a motion analysis. He can recommend product for you. He's a very, very knowledgeable PSO. On the west side of town, you have Ron Macniak, and he's of the exact same quality. So right now, there are other good ball drillers in the Detroit area, but I'm very comfortable on the east side of town with Calhoun, on the west side of town with Ron Macniak.
Fantastic.
And I will be in Macniak's shop, by the way, for Black Friday and Saturday when we launch Incognito. I will be up there doing lessons and layouts and ball fits on that Friday and Saturday.
Fantastic.
Off to the northwest, and I get to go to North Dakota and South Dakota. See how excited I am? And Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Bring your jacket. You're definitely going to be cold.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to bring a leather jacket. You bet your bippy on that one.
Okay, so I'm going to circle back around again to continue something we were talking about in the first episode, which was core design is the engine of bowling ball motion. Could we see more motion and dynamic shapes from cores in the future? Stuff we've never seen before.
I would really not be very good at my job if I had already shown you everything I can do. We have an organized system, and we develop a technology, not a core, a technology,
okay,
which is a basic core shape and densities we work with. And then we slowly go up the level of that technology. Results is not the final end of the technology of that core system. Incognito is not the final result of the technology of that core system. Bonus is not the final result of the technology of that core system. Pandemonium is not the final result of the technology of that core system.
4 different
because
lines.
The Squatch core was a derivative, was a follow-up to the original Yeti core, which we did in 2013.
Right.
So in 2020, we had made developments, created new molds, slight changes in it to raise the technology level of that core. So we do core systems, not just cores.
Okay. And that adds a lot of value. Oh, I think that's fantastic because I can only think of what a Mark II or Gen 3 results is going to look like. You know, my mouth, I just start slobbering all over the place because I love seeing the shape.
And we need a little time to get the covers to keep up with it.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see those textured covers come from us. And as you said, you threw Incognito.
I did.
That's a cover stock you have never seen before from us.
I have not.
Try to trace the oil lines on that cover. I found
You know,
out the
it's
hard
funny.
way.
Funny you mentioned that because I wanted to measure my tilt, and I came back and I was throwing on the fresh, and I'm like, "Where's my oil line?" I'm like, "Wait a minute." So I'll get deeper, and then I threw a gutter because I went too deep, and I still came back and I saw kind of an oil line. I was like, "This is a very different core. Or a different cover. I don't think I've ever seen a cover like this."
It's called SHARP. Sharp.
Strong hooking, angular, reactive performance.
Something like that.
Something like that.
It's something like that.
Acronym hell is what I live in usually.
Acronyms are wonderful, aren't they?
Now, as we're closing down, we were talking about earlier, you're planning on traveling in 2021. Where else are you going besides Vegas?
Well, I'm going to start out, well, for the rest of this year, I'm going to Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, back through Iowa again, and into Illinois, and then home.
Okay.
And then, because it's January, I am going to North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. Nice place. Nice place.
Right.
I should get there before Mardi Gras or before that period, and then back up through Tennessee and back home. And when I get done with that, I take about a 2-week break, and then I head to Las Vegas.
Wow. You are a very busy man. Now, bowling is coming back, where most everyone's coming out of the lockdown. We're seeing bowling on TV again. Do you see any changes coming in the next 3 to 5 years for the sport of bowling?
It's going to change when you come back to begin with, because the USBC has passed 2 rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to coincide it with the pandemic.
Okay.
But number 1, you can't have a balance hole anymore.
Yep.
Number 2, you no longer, for the first time in the history of the game of bowling, since we had lacquer to start with in the 60s, all right, you no longer have to have oil on the outside boards. So no oil on the outside, no balance holes. What is the result of that? The result of that is the ability to strike continuously is more significant to scoring than it's ever been. Back in the old days, or back on harder scoring patterns, it's important that you leave makeable spares and you make it and you're on to the end of the business, right?
Right.
But I told somebody once in a high scoring tournament that I happened to win. And they said, well, you're playing too close to the edge. Well, I bowled 5 games that day and I threw 6 balls in the gutter.
Mm-hmm.
And I shot 235 over for 5 with 6 balls in the gutter. And the guy said to me, if you'd have moved in a little bit, boy, look at the score you could have had. And I had to tell him, I had to look him right in the eye and say, if you give me a 10-bagger every game, you can put the gutter ball any way you want. So it's about the ability to throw, and scoring in bowling is related to that. Can you throw that one strike? Can you throw that strike in between the other 2? That's 21 points.
Yep.
If you leave a spare and make it, that's 10. So the game and the scoring system in bowling has always been that it rewards strings of strikes.
Consistency.
And it's going to be even more so. So the key is to have it takes 3 things to score. Okay. And this is part of what I'm going to do videos on and when I give my lesson.
I want everybody to pay attention. This is very important.
Number 1, you have to repeat. Number 2, you have to put your feet in the right place. And number 3, you have to put the right ball in your hand. If you want to score, you need those 3 factors. Repeat, feet, ball.
Yep.
And if you want to score, all 3 of those are part of the game, the way the scoring system is built. Now, if you want to change the rules and we score differently, we can change the rules and score differently. But if they don't change the way you keep scoring bowling, which I don't think they will, then repeat, put your feet in the right place, put the right ball in your hand, and you can win.
And there you have it, folks. A freebie from Mo Pinel. Again, he's going to be all over the country the rest of this year into next year, and he's going to be in Las Vegas for 17 to 19 weeks. Providing a number of for nationals for a number of services. So if you want to get your game better, get a hold of Mo and get to one of his clinics, and you can finally get better results.
We'll put the publicity out. The results, that's good. Yeah. And I'm not going incognito either.
That's right. He's going to be around. No need to have any pandemonium. You're good. And as a result of the service you're going to get, you're going to find a better score as your bonus.
Oh, here we go. He's an articulate person. But no, let's be serious for a second.
Okay.
You got to be careful right now.
Yes.
A very good friend of mine has got COVID.
Yep.
Very mild case. Paul right now has got COVID. And he got it when he went voting, because he went to vote and the place was pretty busy, and only 10% of the people had masks. Masks help. So don't be frivolous. Don't be stupid. Don't do dumb things. Keep your hands clean. Keep your mask on. Keep your social distancing. Let's wait for the vaccine. The vaccine is the answer. I've already talked to my pharmacist, and I noticed yesterday that CVS is making arrangements to get the vaccine to people as quickly as possible once it's available. I've already talked to my pharmacy about it. And get vaccinated. And if we don't get rid of this pandemic, it's an economic disaster in a lot of different industries, and I know a lot of you are suffering for it. I wish you the very best. But be careful when you travel. Keep your mask nearby. I got mine here somewhere. Here's my mask. Who is this masked man?
And there you have it. And Mo, you're really, you're saying the right thing. We want people to be safe. Take your health seriously. Really appreciate you showing some leadership there.
Well, I like people, and I hate to drink alone. So, yes, take care of yourself. Let's take care of the game. We need bowlers for the game of bowling to succeed. And be careful. Don't do anything dumb. And I hope to see you guys. If you're coming to Vegas, you can get in touch with me. You'll find out. We'll give you direction sometime before February on how to get signed up and do that. Get a ball while you're out there. We're going to have everything we need. So, Chris, Beans, always appreciate it. I'll see you in January in Tampa.
Absolutely. We'll see you then. And folks, if you have any questions, drop a comment. And of course, subscribe to the Bowlers Rant YouTube channel. Anything you want to talk about, all things bowling, we are here for you. This is Chris Beans, and we are out.